Yeah, and then she's like, you gotta pay me extra. And I'm like, how much extra? And she's like, how much you got? I'm like, I don't know, but I got a lot of... What? We're rolling? Well, that's kind of awkward. Let's see, let me just put these on real quick. And actually, if you guys could just do me a favor and take a look right here. What's up, guys? Jason here, and thanks for watching Terminal Effects. And no, it's not deja vu, but it's our opportunity to revisit a world that spans almost 15 years, generated a cartoon series, countless video games, and now a third film in the franchise. Here's our review of Men in Black 3. Men in Black is one of those franchises that I fondly remember from my late teenage years. Just hearing that theme song is a total nostalgia trip. Men in Black 2, not so much. So does the third film stand up to the original after all these years? Well, in the first place, the time travel element was an awesome idea. I totally geek out over anything time travel related, and specifically Back to the Future. So it's no surprise that I enjoyed the film, as both Will Smith and director Barry Sonnenfeld have stated they watched Back to the Future over and over to ensure they got the time travel element just right, and they used this film's approach as their Bible when making MIB3. Right away, the film introduces us to our familiar duo of agents J and K, although there is some underlying tension that isn't real clear at first, and just as it seems K is going to reveal some important secret that he's been keeping all these years, he vanishes as the time stream is rewritten, thus causing Agent J to travel back in time to the year 1969 in order to stop the events that have altered the future. Now, this is the point of the film where things get handed off from Tommy Lee Jones to Josh Brolin, who plays K as a semi-young MIB agent, and this is really the big hook of the film. I found his performance to be spot on at first, but as time went on, I really forgot he was trying to mimic Jones, and his performance took on a life of its own. Also, based on the interviews that both Tommy Lee and Josh Brolin have done for the film, I started to get the impression that Tommy Lee wasn't too keen on the idea, as they both stated that Josh Brolin wasn't doing an impression of him, but rather the character he played. The villains of Men in Black have been a little hit or miss over the years. Edgar from the first film was a great antagonist, but again, the villains of MIB2, not so much. Here we get Boris the Animal, which right off the bat I was really impressed by. The character is probably the most menacing villain of any Men in Black movie I've seen, and poses a real threat since, after all, he is the one that kills Agent K in the past and launches a successful invasion of Earth. Also, while in the 60s we see a lighter-hearted K, who is having somewhat of a romantic infatuation with one of the other MIB agents. Now, you get the impression that somehow this relationship will lead him down the path of becoming the grumpier older guy we all know and love in the future, but actually, that story thread just seems to go away by the end of the film and is never really resolved. It really could have been cut from the film altogether, as it really didn't seem to go anywhere. Plus, if you remember from the first film, Tommy is still lovesick and having to admire his old girlfriend from afar, so introducing another love story after the fact kind of steps on that sentiment. Also, speaking of Tommy Lee Jones, if you're a huge fan of his, as I am, don't see this film if you expect to see him in a ton of screen time. In fact, other than the first 10 to 15 minutes and a brief scene at the end of the film, Tommy's participation in Men in Black 3 can almost be seen more as a cameo than a starring role. The film's climax leads to the site of the 1969 moon launch, where all the elements of the time travel plot come to a head and Agent K's big secret is revealed. In one of the plot points that was a little bit more difficult to swallow, it happens that Agent K knew Will Smith's father, and after he was killed, K neuralizes a young J and turns out he's been looking after him for all these years in secret. Which is a nice thought, except for the fact that Will Smith's character has always thought his father was just not around, and this is probably a tidbit of info I'm sure he would have liked to have had. Overall, I'd say the 10-year gap between sequels really helped the series. They managed to come up with a fresh take on the storyline that keeps our characters out of their element, while still including a ton of the alien gross-out factor and awesome tech that makes MIB what we all know and love. So we're giving Men in Black 3 a 4 out of 5. And that is our review of Men in Black 3. Now if we could somehow get Josh Brolin to trade in those MIB sunglasses for an 80s bandana, we just might get that Goonies sequel we've been hankering for all these years. But that's it for us today. I'm Jason Messer. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to get all of your gaming and entertainment news.